The Titan's Curse by Rick Riordan, an immersive summary. The winter air bit sharp and cold as Percy Jackson, Annabeth Chase, and Thalia Grace approached the imposing Gothic structure of Westover Hall, their breath forming white clouds in the frigid night. The military school loomed before them like a fortress of stone and shadow, its windows glowing amber against the dark New England sky. Inside, Grover Underwood had sent an urgent message. 2 half-bloods were in danger, and time was running out. The trio slipped through the halls with practiced stealth, following Grover's panicked empathy link to a school dance where students moved awkwardly to generic pop music. But their rescue mission quickly spiraled into nightmare when Dr. Thorne, the school's vice principal, revealed his true nature. The distinguished educator's human facade melted away like a discarded mask, exposing the terrifying form of a manticore, a creature with the body of a lion, bat-like wings, and a scorpion's venomous tail bristling with deadly spikes. His eyes gleamed with ancient malice as he seized Percy and the D'Angelo siblings Nico and Bianca, his claws digging into their arms with predatory satisfaction. Just when hope seemed lost, salvation arrived in the form of silver light and deadly precision. Artemis, the goddess of the hunt, materialized with her band of immortal hunters, their arrows singing through the air like harbingers of justice. The night exploded into chaos as the hunters engaged the manticore in fierce combat, their silver weapons flashing against the creature's hide while he roared and thrashed, launching his poisonous spikes in deadly volleys. The battle raged across the school grounds, shattering windows and sending students screaming into the night. But victory came at a devastating price. In the midst of the supernatural melee, Annabeth Chase, brilliant, brave, irreplaceable Annabeth, vanished into the darkness alongside the wounded manticore. Whether she had been taken captive or had chosen to pursue him remained a mystery that pierced Percy's heart like one of the creature's venomous barbs. As the dust settled and the hunters regrouped, Percy stood frozen in the aftermath, staring at the empty space where his closest friend had been just moments before, the bitter taste of incomplete rescue burning in his throat. After the big fight, the air felt bad. Artemis came forward, her shiny eyes looking hard at everyone. The goddess moved with fluid grace despite the chaos that had just unfolded, her auburn hair catching moonlight like spun copper. She spoke of stirring darkness, ancient monsters awakening from their slumber, drawn by forces beyond mortal comprehension. The manticore's attack was merely the beginning, she warned, her voice carrying the weight of centuries and the authority of Olympus itself. Bianca D'Angelo stood transfixed as Artemis extended an invitation that would reshape her destiny forever. The goddess offered her a place among the hunt, a sisterhood bound by silver oaths and eternal purpose. The choice meant immortality, power, and freedom from the complexities of mortal life, but also separation from her younger brother Nico, whose dark eyes reflected confusion and growing dread. Bianca's decision came swift and certain, her voice steady as she accepted the goddess's offer, even as Nico's protests echoed through the night. The silver glow that enveloped her marked the severing of one bond and the forging of another, transforming the frightened girl into something fierce and untouchable. As dawn approached, the familiar rumble of celestial machinery announced Apollo's arrival. The sun god's chariot descended from the heavens in a blaze of gold and warmth, its divine radiance chasing away the bitter cold of the New England night. Apollo himself emerged with characteristic flair, his perfect smile masking the gravity of their situation as he offered transport to Camp Half-Blood. The journey across the sky unfolded like a fever dream, the mortal world shrinking below them as they soared through clouds painted pink and orange by the rising sun. At Camp Half-Blood, the Oracle's ancient presence summoned them to the big house where prophecy awaited like a coiled serpent. The mummified figure spoke in riddles wrapped in warnings, her voice echoing from beyond the veil of time. 5 would venture west, she intoned, their quest fraught with peril and purpose. But her final words struck like a death knell. One among them would fall by a parent's hand, victim to the very blood that gave them power. The prophecy settled over them like a shroud, binding their fates together while promising that not all would return to tell the tale of their westward journey. The night air carried whispers of rebellion as Percy Jackson made a decision that would defy every warning echoing in his mind. Despite explicit orders to stay away, the pull of destiny proved stronger than obedience. Under the cover of darkness, he slipped away from Camp Half-Blood, his footsteps silent against the forest floor as he tracked the hunters of Artemis on their perilous quest. The forbidden nature of his pursuit only fueled his determination. Somewhere ahead, danger waited for those he cared about, and Percy refused to let them face it alone. The Natural History Museum loomed before him like a temple of secrets, its ancient halls now harboring something far more sinister than dinosaur bones and artifacts. Percy's heart hammered against his ribs as he navigated the shadowed corridors, every creak of the old building setting his nerves on edge. Then he saw them. Luke, his former friend turned enemy, standing beside a figure that radiated malevolent power. The general's presence filled the space with an oppressive weight that made Percy's skin crawl. Hidden in the darkness, Percy watched as his worst fears materialized. Luke had aligned himself with forces that threatened everything Percy held dear. The betrayal cut deep, but the intelligence he gathered would prove invaluable. The Air and Space Museum became an unlikely battleground when the Nemean lion emerged from the shadows, its golden hide gleaming under the emergency lighting. The beast's roar shattered the peaceful exhibits, sending glass cases exploding in crystalline showers. Percy and his companions found themselves trapped in a deadly game of cat and mouse among the suspended aircraft and space capsules. The lion's claws, capable of cutting through any mortal weapon, sparked against the metal displays as it stalked them through the maze of scientific wonders. With each thunderous step, the creature demolished priceless artifacts, turning humanity's greatest achievements into obstacles in a supernatural hunt. The battle that followed tested every ounce of Percy's training and courage. The Nemean lion's invulnerable hide deflected their attacks, forcing them to rely on cunning rather than brute force. In the end, teamwork and quick thinking proved mightier than invincible skin, as Percy and his allies discovered that even legendary monsters had their weaknesses. As the dust settled among the wreckage of twisted metal and shattered dreams of space exploration, Percy realized that this victory was merely the beginning. The general's presence, Luke's continued descent into darkness, and the challenges ahead painted a grim picture of the trials that awaited them on their quest. The freight train's rhythmic clatter became their lifeline as Percy and his companions fled into the vast American wilderness, the steel rails carrying them away from the devastation of Washington, D.C., and toward an uncertain destiny. The boxcar offered little comfort beyond concealment, its weathered walls shielding them from both the elements and the eyes of their relentless pursuers. As the landscape blurred past in a kaleidoscope of desert browns and mountain purples, Apollo himself descended to offer guidance, his divine presence bringing both hope and the sobering weight of prophecy. The god's words painted their path westward not as escape, but as the next inevitable chapter in a quest that would demand everything they had to give. Cloudcroft, New Mexico, emerged from the high desert like a mirage of pine trees and mountain air, its elevation offering a brief respite from the scorching lowlands. But tranquility shattered the moment skeletal warriors materialized from the shadows between the trees, their bone armor clicking with predatory menace as they advanced with weapons drawn. Death itself seemed to hunt them through the mountain town's winding streets until the earth trembled with the thunderous arrival of salvation. The Erymanthian boar burst from the forest like a force of nature incarnate, massive, tusked, and absolutely furious. Its charge scattered the undead legions like brittle leaves, tusks gleaming as they pulverized ancient bones back into dust, leaving Percy and his friends gasping in grateful amazement at their unexpected savior. The Hoover Dam stretched before them like a concrete monument to human ambition, its curved face holding back the mighty Colorado River in a display of engineering prowess that seemed almost mythological itself. But these waters harbored secrets older than the dam's construction, and as Percy approached the edge, Bessie rose from the depths with scales that caught the desert sunlight like liquid emeralds. The ancient guardian of the river regarded him with eyes that had witnessed centuries of change, her serpentine form a reminder that some powers predated human civilization by eons. Their encounter was brief but meaningful, a moment of connection between the son of Poseidon and one of his father's most loyal subjects. Yet peace proved as fleeting as morning mist when more skeleton warriors emerged from the dam's maintenance tunnels, their hollow eye sockets glowing with malevolent fire. The battle erupted across the dam's surface with supernatural fury, bones clattering against concrete as Percy and his companions fought desperately against overwhelming odds. Just when defeat seemed certain, bronze wings caught the sunlight as mechanical angels descended from the sky, their metallic forms moving with divine precision as they swept the skeletal army aside. As the last of their enemies crumbled to dust in the desert wind, Percy realized that their westward journey had transformed from mere travel into a series of trials, each challenge testing their resolve and preparing them for whatever darkness awaited at their ultimate destination. The junkyard stretched before them like a graveyard of civilization's discarded dreams, where rusted car bodies created twisted metal mountains beneath the harsh desert sun. Among the automotive bones, two figures awaited them with an energy that made the very air shimmer with divine presence. Aphrodite reclined against a gleaming vintage convertible, her beauty so perfect it seemed almost artificial, while Ares prowled nearby with the restless energy of war personified. The goddess of love spoke in honeyed tones about the heart's deepest desires, her words weaving through the group like silk threads, while the god of war's laughter rumbled like distant thunder, promising conflict and glory in equal measure. Their divine encounter left everyone unsettled, as if invisible strings had been attached to their souls, pulling them toward destinies they couldn't yet comprehend. The ground began to tremble, and from the depths of the junkyard's metallic maze, something immense stirred to life. Talos rose like a bronze colossus, his massive form constructed from the very essence of ancient craftsmanship and divine fury. Each step sent shockwaves through the earth as the giant automaton advanced, his eyes blazing with furnace fire intensity. The battle that followed was a desperate dance between mortal determination and mechanical inevitability, weapons striking uselessly against bronze skin while the giant's massive fists crushed cars like paper. In that moment of ultimate peril, when defeat seemed certain, Bianca made the choice that would echo through prophecy itself. She stepped forward with quiet courage, accepting a sacrifice that would save her friends but cost her everything. The aftermath left them hollow and changed, grief weighing heavier than any physical burden as they continued westward. San Francisco's fog-shrouded coastline offered no comfort when Percy found himself face-to-face with Nereus, the old man of the sea, whose cryptic revelations about the Oviatora sent chills through his bones. The ancient creature's power, the ability to grant whoever burned its entrails the strength to overthrow the gods themselves, suddenly made their quest infinitely more dangerous. Before Percy could fully process this terrible knowledge, Dr. Thorne materialized from the shadows like a nightmare-given form, his manticore nature fully revealed in a display of supernatural malice. Their second battle raged across the city's steep streets, where fog became both concealment and confusion, and every corner promised either salvation or destruction. As the dust settled and the immediate threat passed, Percy realized that each trial had been preparing them for something far greater, a confrontation that would determine not just their own fates, but the very balance of power between gods and titans. The ancient garden of the Hesperides stretched before them like a fever dream, its twisted beauty both enchanting and terrible. Golden apples sat heavy on old branches, making the rocky land glow where earth touched the starry sky. At the garden's heart, a sight that made Percy's blood run cold, Artemis, the eternal huntress, knelt beneath an impossible burden, the crystalline dome of the heavens itself, her silver form trembling under its crushing weight. Atlas towered beside his prisoner, his massive frame radiating the fury of eons spent in punishment. The Titan's eyes burned with malicious satisfaction as he gazed upon the goddess who had dared to take his place, her strength slowly ebbing with each passing moment. The hero's arrival sparked a battle that shook the foundations of the earth, divine power clashing against ancient rage in a symphony of destruction. In a moment of desperate heroism, Percy threw himself forward, his mortal shoulders accepting the unbearable weight of the sky as Artemis collapsed, freed but weakened. The crushing force of the heavens pressed down upon Percy's spine like the concentrated weight of every star, every planet, every grain of cosmic dust. His knees buckled, his vision blurred, but somehow he held on, drawing strength from the knowledge that his friends fought beside him. Zoe Nightshade, daughter of Atlas and forever his enemy, moved with deadly grace through the chaos, her arrows finding their mark again and again. When Atlas finally fell, tricked into reclaiming his eternal burden, it was at the cost of Zoe's life, her immortal essence bleeding away onto the sacred ground as she smiled up at the stars she had loved so dearly. As the battle's echoes faded into the night, Artemis knelt beside her fallen lieutenant, silver tears tracing paths down her ageless cheeks. With gentle hands she lifted Zoe's spirit toward the heavens, weaving her essence into the constellation of stars that would bear her name for all eternity. The huntress, who had spent centuries serving faithfully, would now watch over the earth from her place among the celestial hunters, her sacrifice immortalized in light. Percy watched in awed silence as new stars bloomed across the darkness, knowing that heroes never truly die, they simply find new ways to shine. The great marble halls of Olympus gleamed with an ethereal radiance as the winter solstice approached, their columns reaching toward infinity while golden light danced across surfaces that seemed to exist between dreams and reality. The heroes found themselves standing before the assembled gods, 12 immortal beings whose very presence made the air shimmer with power. Zeus sat upon his throne of storms, lightning crackling softly around his fingers, while the other Olympians watched with expressions ranging from divine curiosity to ancient wisdom. Percy felt the weight of their collective gaze as the gods deliberated their fates, the recent battle at the Garden of the Hesperides still fresh in everyone's memory. The rescue of Artemis and the defeat of Atlas had not gone unnoticed by the divine council, and words of honor flowed like honey from immortal lips. Yet beneath the ceremony lay deeper currents of change. Thalia Grace, daughter of Zeus and newly returned from her years as a pine tree, made a choice that would echo through prophecy itself. She gave up turning 16 and what might happen, choosing to stay young and help Artemis instead of dealing with the Big Three prophecy. In the aftermath of celebration, Percy carried a burden heavier than the sky itself, the truth about Bianca D'Angelo's death. Finding Nico in the shadows of Olympus, Percy watched the young boy's face crumble as the words fell like stones between them. The revelation shattered something bright in Nico's dark eyes, but what followed was even more earth-shaking. With grief and rage warring in his small frame, Nico's true heritage blazed forth. The ground cracked beneath his feet, shadows writhed at his command, and skeletal warriors clawed their way from the earth itself. Son of Hades, Lord of the Dead, the boy's very existence rewrote everything they thought they knew about the great prophecy. As the gods' council drew to a close and new alliances formed in starlight, one final thread of destiny revealed itself. Grover, still bearing the wild magic of the Satyr Lord's gift, received a message that made his goat eyes widen with wonder and terror in equal measure. Pan, the great god of the wild, stirred in whatever realm claimed him, and his call whispered through the natural world like wind through ancient trees. The message promised adventures yet to come, quests that would lead them into the very heart of nature's mysteries, where the line between salvation and destruction grew thin as morning mist. With Bessie, the Ophiutorus safe in the ocean's depths and new bonds forged in divine fire, the heroes faced an uncertain future where prophecies twisted like labyrinthine paths, and every choice carried the weight of worlds yet to be saved or lost.